This is the RPM Podcast, starring Eric Brennan.
Tip of the cat to you. Not the cat, but the cap. Production.
Nope.
Porsche was favored to win the pole.
Wrong.
As we get set to dive into our short track segment to wrap up.
Wrong again.
I may not even know the exact,
Oops.
I didn't even know how to say it. Wow, what is wrong with me? You're out. I was 16.
There's no excuse. No excuse.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RPM Podcast.
God help us.
I was 16. I didn't. It was awkward.
We were talking about our first Indianapolis 500 balloon experience, folks.
2006. That was when Sam Hornish beat Marco Andretti. I was 16. Good times. It was actually that summer. It was really good. Good times. So, well, now that I made that awkward,
Those silly
we'll tell you
Christians.
one day. I'm Eric Brennan, joined by our Formula One aficionado, Nick Rendo.
Yes.
Across from him, repping the Charlotte gear, Sam Ballard Jr.
Hey, guys.
And alongside of him, Joshua Matthews.
Everything's great.
Everything is great.
I'm
I
sticking
wanted to
with
wear
that.
that shirt today.
Oh, you
Wait.
got it?
I got it.
Oh,
You got Eric. Oh, you did.
I bought it, and
Oh.
it came in the mail and everything, and I wanted to sport it and kind of show it off, and instead I'm wearing my Eric Jones gear.
You had a great run at Martinsville.
That kid's been unbelievable.
That team, the whole brand new people,
And
brand new
because
team.
you said that, I'm going to end up picking him next week, and he's going to wreck out on lap 2.
I don't know. Eric Jones seems to find his way around the wrecks. Or
Yeah.
he they don't talk about him.
That
Like-
was difficult to do this past weekend.
Yes, it was a very violent weekend.
It was. And it was actually one of the better NASCAR weekends I've had
Well,
in a while.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I noticed right off the bat from the truck race was, and I think Sam pointed this out while the race was going on, was Goodyear made a change, I think, to the right side tire. And at first there was some concern about the drivers because they didn't think it was going to fall off that much throughout the race. But I feel like that in both races, the truck race and the cup race on Sunday, that the tire fall off, as I feel like they're searching for somebody in Josh's backyard right now. I don't know if anybody could hear that, but the house is starting to shake as the helicopter
we
comes
waited
over.
how long to start recording in a helicopter?
I mean, I only
Fly
robbed
over.
that bank 4 hours ago. I mean, I don't know why they're here now.
It's my ride home, guys. I got to go.
This is-
Oh, God.
But the right side tire was different, and it looked like that it started to not really marble up the outside groove. And for the first time that I can remember, I remember seeing guys take different lines in the corners at Martinsville.
It was fantastic.
And it was so weird. I mean, like you had guys like Ryan Blaney by himself, or I think at one point there was somebody that was fading.
Ryan Blaney wasn't by himself. He kept hitting everybody.
That too. He did not
Good
have that good of an
golly.
experience
well,
there.
wait. Are we talking Saturday or Sunday here? Because Chase Elliott hit a few people too.
Well, I think the way, especially Jimmy Johnson, be like, all
How
right,
about
Jimmy,
the way
tell
he held off? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know who was behind him in those closing laps, but it looked like he was going to get turned multiple times into the
Who's-
inside wall and
who's
the outside
this?
wall. Chase Elliott in the truck race.
Oh, I think it was John. I know Johnny Sauter was. reeling him
That
in.
was it. Yeah. Oh my God, the way he blocked him was amazing. What a guy. What a talent. What a young talent.
I mean, that GMS.
Him and Larson will carry the sport for sure.
I'll say this though. Right now, after watching that truck race at Martinsville, I'd rather watch that than the Eldora race. And
Oh,
I already upset enough dirt fans last week.
Now, if Eric Graham was here, he would agree with you.
I mean, it's
I agree with you.
it's a spectacle at Eldora, and I think it's cool that they do the dirt track, but the product isn't
one
as
with
good.
the dirt.
I want more of the contact. You have fenders, let's use them. Let's put on a good show. And what the trucks did on Saturday, I think, is a better show.
Josh, where have you
been? Minus the Norm Benning thing at Eldora a couple years ago.
him upsetting
there
him.
was more contact. It was overall. It was a lot more fun to watch than what Eldora ends up being product wise.
Since 1995, the truck races have always been better than the cup races.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the argument that Josh is trying to present is that the Martinsville race was better than what we have seen or may see at Eldora, which is a unique element in all itself.
And
Exactly. I'm not saying don't go to a dirt track. I'm just saying maybe for whatever reason, Eldora is not providing the action that I'm looking for.
In my opinion, it all comes down to the tire, especially what Goodyear brought to Martinsville.
I'm sure the tire absolutely has something to do with
Because
it.
I
but-
didn't think that either the truck race or the cup races, both last year, were that good, and I felt like that both races this year. Maybe it was the element of the stage racing that made it all the more appealing, but I thought the races were fantastic, start to finish.
the stages absolutely were phenomenal for the truck race, and they helped on the Cup race. That last stage on Sunday does prove to be a bit long, and it actually starts to feel like a
regular
typical
race?
where it's
Yeah.
like,
But I think
wow.
That's kind of the point, though.
yeah, it's supposed
You get the
it's to
best
bring
of-
back that
yeah.
endurance element to that final portion of the race.
Strategy.
240 laps, I think that was the last sprint.
There was
like
no
that.
caution. It was pretty wild. There was who was it? I think Larry McReynolds. He's like the stats guy, and he said I don't remember what the percentage was, but it was a high percentage with the caution the last 20 laps or so.
But you know what it was? The
Never
guys, literally, they used all their crap up. Kyle Larson, I mean, that kid has.
He
Brendan,
didn't
we were
have a
talking
great
about
weekend.
earlier.
He was like, I mean, top 10 is still a good weekend for anybody, but I mean, for him coming off of
With
four.
the amount of tires that were getting cut and going down, I
Exactly.
mean, anybody could have a bad day. It's kind of a crapshoot. So
His teammate McMurray took a really hard hit at Martinsville this past weekend.
That is one of the hardest
Yes.
hits that you can take. I mean, I would go back to when Truex and Kane had their wreck in 2011.
Yeah, it was a
When I
bad
think
wreck.
when one of them lost their brakes. I mean, you don't see it
yeah,
hit that hard.
Truex had a very hard wreck.
Yeah.
Now that was still with a safer barrier because there have been a few deaths at Martinsville with stuck throttles and whatnot.
That was when
over there.
Casey Kane was in the Red Bull car.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
believe it was a testing crash for what? I'm trying to remember. Was it a Petty or I can't remember off the top of my head. And wasn't it? There have been a few. That's
I don't know about
have a list
in a stock car, but I know that a couple of modified drivers have been.
Yeah, Richie Evans passed
Yeah,
away at
very
Martinsville.
notable. Yeah.
Yeah, which it's understandable. It's two drag strips connected by 280-degree turns.
Do
and
you think
whatnot,
John
but-
Force would do well at Martinsville?
Of course.
I think so.
Well, when he got to the turn, I don't know what he would do.
He's John Force. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'd probably just want to pinball.
As long
off
as he's on
walls
the
and keep
inside,
going.
he'll be all right.
Ride the wall all the way around.
Yeah. But I think both races. I mean, there was a point with I think 40 to go in each race where we had the top four trucks and the top four cars nose to tail for the lead.
It was fantastic.
And I'll tell you, you alluded, Nick, to the block that Chase Elliott threw on Johnny Sauter, and I'm
I
telling
thought
you,
he was getting turned.
I'm not a race car driver, and I may never be a race. Well, okay, I would drive a race car, but I'm not. I don't do it regularly, right? And I may never have the opportunity to do that. But if I was Johnny Sauter, I don't care if that was my mother in that truck in front of me. I would have turned her around because that was such an evil block. And I think the only reason
Just
why
because
Sauter
you,
cut
you
him a
bring
break.
a Bowflex into the house.
No, but no. I mean, it doesn't. Whoever it was, whether it was my teammate, whether it was my son, whether I
only
would,
person
I
you
would
wouldn't
not have
is
let him
probably
get away
me.
with that.
My mother, I'd wreck Jesus for the win at Martinsville.
If he did what Chase did on that restart, I probably would have. It was such an aggressive block. I mean, you don't see that. You see it on the mile and a half, because you have all that room. You don't have any room at Martinsville to get away with that. And Chase found a way to do it, and that turned out to being the winning move, really.
Yeah.
Well, I think Chase Elliott had nothing to lose. He was just there to
Johnny
collect.
Sauter wasn't happy.
Well,
in the
would
interview
you
at all.
be?
Well, no. But I mean,
Exactly.
if the
Yeah,
shoe
but
was on the other foot.
Johnny
now-
Sauter's racing for
Here's-
points.
Chase was gonna. He was holding no prisoners because he turned Chastain towards the end there too.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
like
And-
he's like,
and
nope,
remember-
you're in the way. I'm not giving you a chance to move out of my way. I'm moving you, and
And remember, Christopher
Right through
Bell
him.
was leading up until the final caution when he got in too deep, and I believe got in Austin Cindric, who was racing them really hard for whatever reason, with a handful of laps to go, and with Cindric having the tough day that he had. And that's what opened the door for GMS Motorsports to be in the top two spots. But I'll tell you, the one thing where I will give a tip of the hat to GMS Motorsports was, as that first stage was winding down, I think Sauter was all over the backside of Elliott for that first stage, and I thought for sure they were going to let Sauter get by, get the win, get the stage point, because that carries over all the way throughout the chase. And then on the restart, you could just back off and let Elliott get the lead back, and then everybody's happy. And Elliott raced him all the way through up till that checkered flag and that stage win, which means nothing to Chase Elliott. Would have meant everything to Johnny Sauter, because he's almost a shoo-in to get into the chase, whether he wins or not in the regular season. And I like the fact that they just let it play out. If I was the owner of that team, I would have tried to get Chase to move out of the way and get Sauter that stage win, because we don't know what those points
But
are
then
gonna
would
mean.
you have a guy like Chase Elliott want to come back and race for you if you're going to dictate what he can and cannot do?
I mean, because it was a stage win, you could have just kind of repaired it on the restart. And we've seen that before at Martinsville, where the front row can kind of dictate what happens on those restarts. There's been some wheeling and dealing done before.
Well, Chase and Kyle did that on Sunday.
Yeah,
Kyle Larson picked the outside to begin the race, and
Right.
Chase Elliott, whether he did it on purpose or not, locked the car up on the bottom and let Kyle Larson in.
yeah.
Didn't last long, but
So I was surprised at that as well. But the truck race really set the tone for the weekend, and the Cup race followed in terms of excitement and entertainment. And speaking of stage racing, the end of Stage 2 was probably one of the most thrilling finishes we've had all year.
Ricky Stenhouse earned a new fan right here.
A lot of people were saying that all over social media. Everybody was happy with the move that Stenhouse did, which he essentially got fed up with how he was being raced by, at the time, race leader Kyle Busch, and he wanted to get back on the lead lap.
But said, do you really think he was fed up, or he was more like, you know what, this is Kyle Busch. I'm not going to.
Well, if he would have stayed where he was, he probably would have got the free pass. But I guess because of how aggressive Kyle wasn't trying to get by him, he gave him a gouge in the final corner, and that gave Chase Elliott the stage win.
Maybe he wanted to be on his next T-shirt.
That's also a possibility.
I thought Stenhouse was going to plow into the driver's side door of who was it that spun on Sunday?
He ain't Danica.
No, but who was it that went around? I'm trying to remember.
It might have been Ryan Blaney at that point.
Ryan Blaney was a freaking
the
plus, bat, and everyone else was the ball.
Ryan Blaney is like the all the above answer for the weekend, because like he was almost involved in almost everything. And I love Ryan Blaney. I'm a huge Ryan Blaney fan. I think that kid's gonna go places. Between himself, Elliott, and Eric Jones, the sport's in good hands. But he did not have a good day at Martinsville.
You know, they were comparing the new drivers, and I think it was either Jeff Gordon or DW, and they said that, and I didn't even think about this till they brought it up. I felt really dumb. Eric Jones is the modern day Matt Kenseth, just plucking away solid top 5, top 10s every week, and that's what's going to get him known.
I know Darrell Waltrip is a huge fan of what Eric Jones has been able to do, and to be honest, I am too. Has nothing to do with the name because he doesn't spell it right.
I was just kidding.
About to say, but you're a fan of his?
No, we're not biased here at all. As I adorn my Eric Jones garb.
Never biased.
But, I mean, brand new startup team. You know, I mean, here, case in point, the Xfinity champion from last year, Daniel Suarez, with an already established Cup team and organization that was competing for a championship last year. Granted, they had the crew chief disappear, like, randomly. But you have Suarez, who steps into that car, which is already an established. You know, it's the same thing when you go to work for a company.
I didn't realize they let modifieds on the track with stock cars.
It's good to see modifieds back at Martinsville.
You didn't see his car at the end of the day?
Oh, I thought it misspoke. But yes, you're right. Suarez had a terrible day as well. Yeah, and I'm surprised that they even did that. And we thought that those days were over with the 5-minute crash clock, and they got that thing repaired to allow them to log some more laps.
Oh, not so much repaired.
Take the hood off. We don't need it.
You didn't, in a way.
No,
it was.
Especially with Ryan Blaney out there, most of the
There
cars
was so much bent sheet metal. It was great to see because that's what it was missing, and a lot of people missed it because the crowd was not that big.
That was going to be my next point. There is something about,
I mean,
the way that the grandstands looked that was very, very, very upsetting. Because
now they had all the backstretch bleachers covered with
those
signage.
Those aren't bleachers; they're just signs.
Yeah, now they're signs.
Yeah,
they're signs over top of bleachers.
Yeah, seats under.
Really?
You used to have 360 seating, Martinsville. Yeah.
Oh.
If you go to
Like
Dover, they have whole sections.
I feel
we
like
wouldn't
a
know
dumbass.
we wouldn't know in our lifetime.
Write that down for
so don't feel bad.
what we learned later.
Yeah.
Anyway, they just put like a big, banner or whatever over top of the seats. But with that whole backstretch removed, seating wise, there were still a ton of open seats.
Yeah, and for Martinsville, and this is the one thing that I just don't understand. We talked about it with New Hampshire losing their Cup date. You know, a lot of people said, why? Well, they're not selling the place out. Now you look at a place like Martinsville.
Bite your tongue.
Where it's like...
Don't go there, Brennan.
I'm just saying, it's,
We can go there.
if this
You're
is
about to
what and this is what I don't understand.
Oh, man.
The same thing can be said with Xfinity races where there's no Cup guys. You know, everybody keeps saying whenever one of those races comes up and there's like no Cup guys entered in an Xfinity race, which is usually like on a one-off weekend, guys like Pete Pistone will say, hey, if you really want to see an Xfinity race without Cup guys, this is your weekend, and make it must-see TV. And usually the television ratings are junk. They don't line up with what us vocal fans want to see. And the telltale sign is what you see on TV,
Well,
which is there's nobody there. It's weird.
You know what
bizarre.
the issue is, and I've come to realize this with the Xfinity. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm playing footsies with Rendo underneath the table.
Don't
here.
even worry about it.
I feel left out.
I got 2 feet. It's okay. But with the Xfinity team, for what I've realized as a fan growing up, was that there's like 5 to 8 guys that are just equal, and they're going to be really competitive throughout the year. And then after that, you got I'm not knocking, but you have like
out.
Blake Cook.
Yeah.
And then everybody else.
Yeah, like yeah, Blake Cook in a league of his own, and then everybody else is C.
He does a
like
great
C
job
level.
with the car.
No, he does.
But what I'm saying is he's not like a Justin Allgaier. He's not what an Eric Jones was in years past. You literally have Blake Cook and everybody else.
Now,
It's a good thing.
one
It's a good thing.
one thing that has been floated around over the last couple of weeks, and it's really gained momentum as we continue to ponder what's going to happen to the All-Star race going forward.
Wait, who won, by the way?
Who won what?
The race. We've talked about, I think,
that's
everything
right.
but the winner.
There you go. Good catch, Josh. Brad Keselowski, first repeat winner of 2017.
And Chase Elliott won the truck race.
He did.
Yeah, quick thing about the truck race. I can't remember his full name. You guys will definitely back me up. But who's the Coughlin that's racing?
Cody Coughlin.
Cody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that
The
is.
13.
I believe
whose
he's
son?
related to Jag Coughlin.
But
somehow.
whose son is he?
I have no idea.
All right, so like you got Troy Coughlin in Pro Mod. You have Troy Coughlin Jr., who ended up going into Top Fuel, the first Coughlin going to Top Fuel. You got Jeg Sr. and Jeg Jr. both in Pro Stock. Now you got him in the Truck Series. That Coughlin family is like, that's really cool.
It's,
That's-
what's most amazing is having the funding to be able to put that many people.
they own Jegs. They're-
However,
No, I'm aware of that.
However, if you want me to be honest, Cody has been the most underperforming of that group. I mean,
Really?
he's been tearing up a lot of stuff.
Oh, he on the post lap, he ended up driving into the back of someone to show his frustration with getting turned on the last lap or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good rebound after a pretty tough day, but it's so far the
Didn't he
results
win
aren't matching up.
It says here he won the ARCA CRA Super Series Championship last year.
I believe he has an ARCA win as well in a Venturini car over the last
And
couple
he's
years.
running for ThorSport in that 13 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he has last year, too.
Yeah, and he was also a part-time driver for
KBM.
Kyle Busch. So I
Wow.
guess you thought he was going to stick there for a little while, but it just hasn't materialized just yet.
Well, Kyle Busch has a way with seeing these drivers between. I'm a huge Christopher Bell fan. I think, in all honesty, in my opinion, I think he's shadowed so much by Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. Christopher Bell is going to be, in my opinion, the next Jimmy Johnson of the sport. Just give it some time. I think he really has some tremendous talent.
It'll be interesting to see. And you mentioned the shadowing effect. Jones just did so well in that Ford truck coming into the year, and then we thought it was going to be Christopher Bell doing the same. It turned out to be William Byron, who was another guy that was handpicked by Kyle Busch. Hendrick Motorsports swept him out from under the rug. And,
Byron raced for Hendrick. Busch took him for the truck, and then now he's back with Hendrick.
Right. So but I think Bell will be somebody to watch, and I think the other thing that we were going to watch, when we were just talking about the potential All-Star race format of the year, which is probably a good time to tell you this week's All-Star race format of the week.
Oh, I'm excited.
This one would be 3 rounds, 42 minutes. For round 1, windshields be removed from all cars. Round 2 will be a breath-holding contest. And for the final round, the best backflip wins.
You think Kyle Busch will come out of retirement? I'm sorry, Carl Edwards will come out of retirement?
For that one, I bet he would. He'd be eligible. He won last year.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, in speaking of the All-Star
point.
race, one of the biggest suggestions, which we talked about last week, ESPN's Nate Ryan said, have a Wednesday night race at Martinsville under the lights, and that's your All-Star race.
Right turn, it's not left.
Well, Nate said to go left, but your suggestion is to go
How
right.
did that family dinner go with the Coughlins when he said, "Guys, I want to turn"? What?
That's actually pretty funny.
I mean, like, damn.
There's another joke.
You ain't
in
my
there that
son.
I'm not gonna-
But there was speculation that perhaps NASCAR would go down the road of midweek summer races for the Cup Series next year. Well, an article from Sports Business Journal said that, quote, NASCAR is not expected to feature any midweek points races in its top series next season, according to sources, likely delaying a much-discussed change that could come to the sport. Monster Energy Cup Series races have been traditionally held on the weekend, but NASCAR and industry stakeholders, including media partners and tracks, have recently examined the idea of moving a handful of races to midweek dates. This could serve as a way to get away from hyper-competitive sports weekends and energize a fan base that at times yearns for a shakeup to the schedule. However, sources said that while the idea is still on the table for the future, the various moving parts that would need to come together are unlikely to happen in time to get any on the 18 schedule. The article continues on to talk about the importance of a weekend event, and as we know, tracks usually make a lot of their money off of people showing up 1, 2, or 3 days out of the weekend. So this is something which a lot of people see may happen for a non-points event, perhaps with the Unlimited or the Advanced Auto Parts Shootout, as it's now called, or maybe even the All-Star
Aren't
race.
the duels ran on a Thursday?
Yes, but they have been for a while, and usually it was during the day.
That's such a big week time.
That's
I mean,
true.
you have people that take off
For the whole month of February.
Yeah, pretty much just to be there and camp and all that. So that's kind of a one-off in its own right, I think.
I mean, but go back to like the roots, like our local track, Wall Stadium. They used to race there Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays back in the 50s when NASCAR first started up.
I mean, when you
Why
think
not?
about it, like tracks like Thompson and Stafford, their regular shows are run Thursday or Friday night.
Yep.
I mean, whenever a big show comes to New Egypt Speedway on the dirt tracks, usually on a Tuesday night or sometimes a Wednesday night. So
But a lot of times, I think car counts also have play a role in that because all around, and it's not just one track. It is across the country. Car counts are not what they used to be. Expenses and jobs and other commitments and things like that. It's tough. So to try to hold those events when maybe the lower guys might be able to get in, even because your top guys maybe they had work commitments or something like that. You just don't have as many cars to try to fill those spots that are desperate enough or open enough to do that. So it's tough, I think, to get those midweek events unless you're in the very top tiers.
On the national scale, though, considering the fact that if you were to look at what's going on in the world of sports, June, July, August, there's really not a lot happening. There's meaningless, and I say meaningless. There's baseball games being played, but nothing that directly impacts the playoffs just yet. People don't start shaping the playoffs for baseball till September. So there really is an open window there for NASCAR to become the center of attention at a beautiful time of the year.
Huge freaking brain blast just happened. 4th of July is a Tuesday this year. It's going to be a Wednesday next year, I believe. There you go. Make a 4th of July race out of it. Not Daytona, though. Daytona was overrated when it comes to that stuff. You race Daytona on Sunday or Saturday night, whatever you do it. And then the weekend after, you race on maybe the little track outside Daytona.
I'm biting my lip here because it's the second time on the show that Sam has said that Daytona was overrated in some capacity. So it's
Have you been?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
2011.
Trevor Bade,
That's right.
But you make a good point. There was a time where the Truck Series, I believe, used to run like 3 times in 7 days.
Yep. Nazareth.
Yeah, and then a couple other short tracks, and they would actually run on Labor Day or something like that.
That's what I'm saying.
I got to see them at Flemington.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
that might
Which
be
is now a Lowe's.
It's awful. But I think this is a road that the sport could go down, and it sounds like they're not ruling it out as a possibility for the All-Star race next season. This year we know it's going to be on a Saturday. We just don't know what the format's going to be.
Well,
just
I think
yet.
it has to do a lot with sponsorship, too, because like Josh and you guys were saying, people need to take off. And if I'm a sponsor, if there's going to be 20% more people on a Saturday night race, and I'm going to be spending the same amount of money on a Wednesday night race, I want a Saturday race. Like Monster Energy or whatever. I want more Monster cans given away to people on Saturday than on a Wednesday.
Well, and here's the other thing, right? So now you look at the way that the schedule falls into place, and if you were to include some of these midweek races, we talked about some of these tracks don't do anything else throughout the year except host 1 or 2, NASCAR weekends. So if you're going to take that potential 3-day schedule and move it to a 1-day midweek event where, let's be honest, a lot of people are working, I don't know if I would be able to take a day off to go.
I would
wanna
watch it on TV, sure.
Right. Like Eldora is actually a really good example. A lot of people in this area have taken a day or 2 off to go out to Rossburg, Ohio, and see that race in the flesh.
But
I would love
you're
to do
talking
that.
like an 8 to 10 hour drive or something like that.
For us, yes. But for the average, it's still a day,
So I'm just saying
day of work. And
its location kind of does allow for it to be you can drive out there and drive back.
Oh, it's the mecca of motorsport.
What about this?
Nick speaks.
Great idea. Great idea for NASCAR. Supercross Thursday, Trucks Friday, Xfinity Saturday, and then the Cup Series on Sunday. You make it like a freaking quad header weekend.
it's funny you bring that up.
Bang,
because
bang, mofos.
It sounds like that there are some marketing partners
Drop the mic.
working with one another to bring some MMA fights to some of the Cup races this year.
You don't need that. You don't need that.
But it's that
Oh,
crossbreeding
never mind.
of
That's not
marketing and working together that they want maybe get a couple MMA guys to come out and see a NASCAR
They have
race,
to
get a
get
couple
better
NASCAR guys see an MMA fight.
They
you
have
know?
to get better music at NASCAR. I mean, F1 has like Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, Usher. Like
You
Justin
started off
Bieber.
with Taylor Swift?
All
yeah,
these
come
people.
on, Pouch.
All
Turn his
these
mic off,
people.
Josh.
And what does NASCAR get? Like Florida, Georgia line.
Okay, all right, now I'm with you on that.
We're,
Come
we're
on.
losing people fast. we'll
Who
leave on
goes
a,
to see Green Day?
Whoa.
Green Day's still
Whoa,
not that bad.
whoa.
It's not 2006
And I
anymore.
will defend who I saw last night.
Oh,
Trash?
Lord.
I-
Kesha.
Yeah, Kesha.
You mean trash?
You can take your Florida Georgia line and go cry somewhere.
I will leave. I will
I'm
leave
listening
this
to
segment
Florida
up-
Line. I'm crying.
I will leave on this note. The Cup Series race television ratings again down slightly compared to last year, but just so everybody knows, the NASCAR race on Sunday was the highest watched sporting event of the day, and it did beat out even though it's not something super important, but it was the championship game for the NCAA women's division. So
Go Tar Heels.
and then third
Oh, I'm
was
wearing my
the St. Louis Cardinals Chicago Cubs opener, which is a big deal. So
It's huge.
huge.
Yeah,
and
the Cubs won the World
wasn't the
Series,
Mets home opener this weekend or something?
Yes, they won.
There's
Yesterday.
they had
Or
New
Monday.
Jersey Transit had an issue, and there's that viral video of the guy freaking out because he couldn't make it to the game because
I didn't see it, but
you
the
saw
more,
something about
the
it.
more
yeah.
you explain this to me, that's what it looks like when I can't see a race. Whatever that guy was doing is probably what I do if I am missing a race.
Now I wanted to ask something. We had a segment under yellow. Is that the first time that's actually happened? Because of a wreck?
To my recollection, yes.
They do these quickie yellow crap, which NASCAR needs to get under control because they were giving
They
the guys
should all
the
be
green.
quickie yellows. If
They-
you
That's a
ask
good point.
me.
No, I
That's a very
agree,
good
but
point.
they gave Eric Armorillo the drive by for the lucky dog,
Amarillo.
and he was getting
Eric
whatever.
Armadillo.
I met the guy. I can butcher his name. He spells Eric with a freaking A. Who does that? Anyway, regardless of the point, he was getting his lap back because he was a lucky dog,
and
and
he didn't do it.
he
in time.
barely got up to speed. Like he was like full throttle.
That
like,
happens all the time in short track racing, or at least in my division.
Mhm.
Like they're trying to get the race going, keep the fans happy. Although I'm trying to get caught or lined
Don't
up.
go a
and
lap down. You wouldn't have a problem.
Well, or
If I could, I
mean,
would.
You know what is
Man.
bizarre though. That's a very good point. It's a good comparison made. If we give the free pass at Wall Stadium, we just do it electronically.
Yep.
We don't actually make a car physically pass the field.
Yes.
I don't know why you can't do that in NASCAR now. What like? Do you really have to make that guy pull around the whole field and make a lap up? Why can't you just go in the
I
button and
think-
push like +1 and then he's back on the lead lap all of a sudden?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and they should be able to do it that way. But I think they kind of want to have a hands-off system in a sense that
Yeah.
let
Jesus,
it
take
go.
the scoring.
Yes, the computer. As well as for posterity, any video evidence that car went back around, and
I mean, I think I do recall also there was an Xfinity race. It might have been 2011 where Brian Scott, or it might have been Brian Scott or Kenny Wallace. I don't remember if it was the 11 or the 09, but it was a race at Charlotte at night, and they called him in for a lug nut penalty,
And there wasn't an issue.
and it turned out it was right. So NASCAR threw the yellow to give that driver their spot back. It was one of the. They said it wasn't the first time it happened, but it was the first time in a long time
it's
that they
kind
did
of
that.
when there's times that they'll do that, and I think that is the right thing to do because you're saying that the guy has something wrong, and you were wrong about saying that, so he should go back where he was. But I've also been called in because I lost part of my bumper,
Mhm.
and I had to start at the tail end. I didn't get my spot back, but they called me in so they could look and make sure everything was safe. So I'm fine. Check it for safety, but if there's nothing actually wrong, give the guy his spot back. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I've seen it go both
But
ways.
in that case, they gave him the lap back, and he had to drive around the whole field under yellow again.
It's for the show.
Yeah, well, if you remember, in Darlington 2001, Steve Park had the steering wheel come off while trying to scrub the tires under caution. Larry Foyt's trying to catch the front of the line
Oh, there's
to
a
be the
huge
first
wreck.
car, and he hit Park in the driver's door, and that was a near-fatal wreck for Park. So I think there's a safety element to it. If you want to prevent having cars running around the track at speed at all while under caution, you just do it electronically.
Not only
I'm a
for the
fan of that,
drivers, but for the crew.
which I'm not even gonna get into it because Sam's gonna yell at me for talking about the caution clock.
Quickly, though. I mean, I know we're going to end this. Yeah.
Oh no, there's one thing I want to get to.
I'm shocked. Shocked
What?
I'm
about
excited.
the last thing.
My stepmom is going to
We've
be
said
happy.
that like 5 times.
Hey, Robin.
Wait, no, hang on.
I'm talking about the Dale Earnhardt Jr. news that came
No,
out
no,
today.
I was listening to our friend Tim I can't pronounce his name. I cannot.
He'll
Tim
be on next
Catalfamo.
week, so we can.
Yeah, he's gonna call in next week and correct me on his name pronunciation.
For any of you guys
But-
that don't know, he does a radio show at New Brunswick at Rutgers, and he does a NASCAR recap. You should check him out.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good show. Anyhow, he was talking today about at Texas. Now, there was the repave. They actually lessened the bank or decreased the banking in 1 and 2, and yet widened the track. So that'll make for some interesting
Why
racing.
is racing going wider all of a sudden? I don't
know.
understand.
I don't know.
Between the Europeans and us.
All
Yeah,
right.
Josh.
Anyway, so the more interesting thing to me was they're going to give away 30,000 bobbleheads. 30,000 to the first 30,000 people. That's great. They're all Danica Patrick bobbleheads.
That's fantastic.
Okay. So now, the funny thing is, he mentioned that if you actually look closely, if you're actually paying attention to what they hand you,
If you actually care what Danica Patrick's wearing.
yeah, it's all still branded with Nature's Bakery stuff. So that's kind of interesting considering.
And we kind of talked off air, like if you remember back in the day, and I say back in the day, because barely they don't do this anymore. Why I don't know, but they used to take the losing Super Bowl or World Series teams memorabilia and they would donate it to communities that are in need overseas. I thought that's what you could do with all this Nature's Bakery stuff, because why promote them?
But they're bobbleheads, Eric.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's
What are the kids going to do with bobbleheads?
It's a good point. I
Keep it
can't argue
PG
with that.
now.
We can
Yeah.
donate them to the Bobblehead Museum. They have like
They'll take one.
But think about how much money those
I
are
don't
going to
think
be
it's
worth.
30,000.
no, but they get rid of one.
Where is
Well, you
this?
line them up on the backstretch right before they come to the green, and then just have everybody take care of it, and then that should be in the All-Star race format planning thing. Bobblehead round.
No, the 30,000 fans are going to throw them at the winner of the race. Like when Jeff Gordon won that race in 07 at Talladega,
They were jealous.
chucking beer cans and RPM T-shirts, RPM podcast T-shirts.
There was one more bit of interesting news that came out, and if you're a big Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan, you'll understand about this. In fact, we're not far from Philly, so this might make some of you happy.
I was
Making
down
me
there.
happy.
There was an announcement today that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to drive a Philadelphia Eagles painted-up car at Pocono Raceway. The problem is, Junior's a die-hard Redskins fan.
Money talks and
Like die-hard
football
Redskins
walk.
fan.
And they're in the same, what's that called in football?
Division.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And the thing, Junior actually put
Thanks.
out on Twitter today
Thank you.
saying, we just announced today that we're driving a Philadelphia Eagles paint scheme at the Pocono race for Exalta, and I'm really sad about that. Yeah, just an actual quote from Junior. Being a Redskins fan, it was very hard to wrap my brain around it. And he actually tweeted, true story, I immediately texted my boss and asked for his intervention. I got stern encouragement instead. So he really does not want to run that car. Can you imagine if he wins in that thing and there'll be like raced used versions of that diecast made available and all that stuff?
he might put it on the wall instead.
I would
Just like the
refuse.
Eagles
Like,
seasons.
remember all those years that Morgan Shepherd turned down sponsorship opportunities to keep the Racing with Jesus logo on the
Oh,
hood of
you
his
don't got to
car?
tell me twice. I got
If
diecast.
I'm Dale Earnhardt
Do you
Jr.,
really?
there ain't no way I'm driving anything with Eagles memorabilia on it if I'm a Redskins fan, especially the way he is. No way.
I just need to go against Eric Graham.
You think he's a big enough name to say no?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, like, he's
Yeah.
either a really cool trooper about this, or
He's not as big of a
he doesn't
deal
have
as
as
we
much.
think.
Yeah, he doesn't pull as much weight as we thought he did.
Jeff Gordon.
Or hey man, here's a couple $1,000,000. Suck it up, and we won't make you wear the driver suit. Can you imagine
You never change who you are. People say he sold out. I wouldn't call him a sellout. I think Junior's cool. I'm just saying, if you're passionate about something, stick to it.
he's passionate about driving race cars? Who gives a
I
rat's
agree.
ass about football?
He does.
And you want to know what?
He does, isn't he the one who checks his fantasy football scores during a caution?
Who cares? Anyway, regardless of that, what we learned about NASCAR is that there's an outside lane at Martinsville. Outside lane. Who knew?
This reminds me of
Carl.
during
And we don't know what kind of lane we're going to see at Texas. There's a lot of speculation about what the racing will be like next week.
Single file, F1 style.
I don't know.
Wider.
Some guy said after testing that the middle groove in 1 and 2 may be where you want to be.
Isn't that where all the bumps were in the track?
Yeah, but I guess because they put progressive banking in and they widened that out, that the middle groove may be the best. Like almost when they repaved Michigan, they were running around like the middle of the
Yeah.
track for most of the time.
I think what's really cool when tracks age over time, it kind of ages like wine, where like the bottom gets good, the outside gets good, and like remember when they had that strip at Pocono?
This is Sam.
Yes.
Outside
turn
three.
Yeah.
And like for the first 2 years, that's where you wanted to go. Then the years after that, you're like, I ain't running up there.
Yeah,
This is Sam's balloon moment.
I love it. I agree with him.
they mature.
Or I'm gonna change my underwear after this.
Well, we're going to have a few more balloon moments when we come back on the other side. The Formula E race this week was fantastic. We're going to talk about that as well. The IndyCar Series has released a couple of 3D renders of their potential 2018 Dallara chassis.
Halos?
They will be going, not just yet.
If Nick Rendo was a
They will
race
be
car.
going to a spec body kit for those cars, so we'll talk about that as well. We'll give you the updates on Supercross. We'll talk about what's going to happen locally when we come back to the RPM podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Got a question you want answered? Email us at racingpodcastnj@gmail.com.
Welcome back to RPM Podcast.
Welcome back to the RPM podcast. I don't know why I said that. Bryce said it
just
for
said
us.
that.
I'm just following the master, and that's who he's going to be, the master. Don't call him a butt face though, because he's got much more comebacks than just that.
He's a Matthews. What do you expect?
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
No holds barred. Take no prisoners.
Speaking of take no prisoners, Nick, we got Formula One coming back in China, and this really may be the true test of what we're going to see in terms of a racing.
Hold up.
product.
You just made him really happy.
I know.
I don't even
live
need
to
that
make Nick
Snapchat
happy.
filter anymore.
Yeah, he's cheesing so much right now.
Yeah, no, I know. So I'll finally be vindicated with the passing because, as we all know, we're going to see so much passing this weekend with that phenomenally long backstretch and just how fast those top speeds going to hit. That speed trap, I can't wait to see the numbers. It's going to be extraordinary. So there might actually be rain in the forecast for
Oh,
Sunday.
no.
That's something.
Oh,
Yeah.
that actually might save you.
Already in the second race in, we're already going to see these Pirelli wets in action. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. All right, Sam. And a lot of the cars.
Is Gina going to get wet?
I was going to say that, but
If you didn't listen last week, Gina is the name of Sebastian Vettel's race-winning car.
and not Nick Rendo's girlfriend.
Oh my God!
or perhaps
Oh my God!
carrying on. Because you might have gotten him in trouble that way too.
I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't.
Hi, Frank.
I had to go for it.
No, it's just you got to cover all bases just in case we got some first-time listeners.
No,
Hi, Frank.
We're just friends.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a little punch drunk here.
All right, so
You just talked yourself right out of it.
Yep. All right. Anyway, so Formula E.
That's something I would do.
Formula E, which is a little more important than Formula One.
not necessarily. But the big thing is, the Mercedes chassis doesn't work in the dry. So would it work in the wet? Probably not.
He jumps right
So-
back in.
So I'm pretty.
Back to your unbiased opinions, correct?
I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of Formula One news, unfortunately. The most exciting thing that's going to happen is all the drivers actually meet up every time they're in China for one big dinner, and it's like
Who cares?
it's a big love fest. Me and Brennan would care.
I care.
Thank you.
It's like a balloon moment.
Exactly, but
deal.
Lewis Hamilton actually.
You and
doesn't
your
go 'cause
freaking balloons.
He's a little bit like too cool.
Wait,
but-
he really doesn't go?
no, he's too cool for
That's
it.
son of a bitch.
Wait,
Well,
who
you know
doesn't
what,
go?
though? Lewis Hamilton. No, he's.
Why
too
would
Oh
do
yeah,
that?
no,
No,
he's
Yeah, but that's
stuck
like
up.
no, but that's messed up. I mean, that's like having like a class reunion. Like the most successful guy's like, I'm too good for this. Like that's kind of it's
Yeah,
wrong. I
no,
think it's wrong.
No, yeah, no. You're right. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
I did see that Pascal Wehrlein's going to miss another round.
He is going to miss another round. The Italian dude's back.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know what
Italian
his name
dude?
is. The Italian dude. You know what's crazy is
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sauber, actually, their test driver, their backup driver, is female. So she would have been the first female driver to race. And this Italian guy, I don't know what his name is. I'm sorry, but
It's a
he's-
weird.
Yeah, he's actually the test driver
Ends
for
with an
Ferrari. So how about that? Sauber calls Ferrari's test
How
driver
about that?
not even their own. So that kind of sucks.
But I mean,
Antonia Giovinazzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when
He's
like
got great
when like
hair.
a new fun
You
name
can sense
comes into
the
Formula
culture
One,
in this room.
yeah, I usually need like 5 rounds to pronounce the name right. Like it's taken a
Really?
while. Like even Pascal Wehrlein, like it took me like
Yeah,
a year
I love
to
the
figure
lines
out
that
the,
say that he were lying.
Yeah.
Nick,
He said he's racing
on a
Malaysia,
serious
but I
note,
guess he was
I'm
lying.
going to fluff up Nick Rendo here a little bit.
Oh, thanks,
Either
bro.
you said it on the air or off the air. That how could Wehrlein actually come back after missing one race if he's not better by the off season? I think that was you.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah.
good point. Nick
Yeah.
Rendo. Nick
Yeah,
Rendo.
he's just not up to physical par for these new, cars with
You and Gina are both winning this year.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't want to, I'm just I mean, I'm right. I mean, we're probably going to go, win again and just run away with the championship, which would be great.
For the
But-
record, if you're new to the
I
RPM
love-
podcast, Rendo is probably the most intellectual Formula One fan you'll ever find,
And
he
he's
covers
the
all
most
bases.
unbiased.
He's-
Kind of like Fox News, MSNBC,
And,
CNN.
I tend to be
But I mean,
right.
he
ESPN.
He knows the sport in and out. His memory of the sport in and out is incredible.
Yeah.
But whenever he uses the word "we,"
It's not
he
fake
means
news.
he means himself and Ferrari.
It's like that annoying football fan, like the Giants around here in the New Jersey, New York area. And they're like,
Actually, you're in an Eagles area.
we won the Super Bowl. Your ass wasn't out there playing with Eli Manning, you dumbass.
It took him a minute
Well-
to think of a giant
well,
player.
we're the we're the
Can't you
Tifosi.
tell I love other sports?
We're the Tifosi, and we're 70 years strong.
Bless you.
And we're so passionate about this brand, this company, this legacy that's 70 years old, and we're just gonna make Enzo so proud. when we win the championship this year. But you know what? It's not going to be easy. Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton's going to be right there, which is going to make it all the more sweeter.
When do you leave?
And it's going to be
How's
incredible.
bragging camp going?
What do you mean?
Are you going to China?
I'm going to Canada.
You sound like you're going to China tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm
man.
telling
like,
you, man.
Like that
Yeah,
you're
you
going
are
to be there
going to
turning
Newark. You could
wrenches.
drop me off.
Yeah, I'll give you a ride.
Hey, bro, anytime.
Follow the magic
yeah,
school
so
bus.
really no big Formula One news, but I believe there is some big news with another version of Formula, and that is E.
Formula.
Oh my!
Esteban Gutierrez was there in Mexico.
He said it was hard.
former Formula One
yes.
driver.
And
Wow, that was a.
He went from Haas to
changed the track.
Formula E.
They changed the track a lot. It's the same track that they raced in F1, but they just made it a lot more reserved, shorter.
Yeah.
Not wider,
No,
faster, longer.
No, none
Damn.
of that. Nope.
So there must have been passing involved then.
Oh, there was actually a lot of passing, a
Who
lot
knew?
of action. I mean,
Hey, you got cascade elements. You
No,
got
no,
wings.
you had your
Use
moment.
them.
Nick, you had your moment.
Shut up.
Stop whining.
Anyway, actually, Nick,
Yeah.
there really was something for you at the Formula E race.
No, there definitely was. Yeah.
There's-
Paris Hilton was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
that's
I
cool.
thought they even interviewed her.
Speaking of more white trash.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, really?
Yes,
No way.
Yes, she was.
Oh, that's
They
good.
even interviewed her in the pit,
Really?
yeah, in the pre-race.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm hoping I can meet a celeb in Canada. Actually, It'd be sick. I'm waiting to see what the musical performance is going to be.
Okay. Anyway,
Don't give me that wig.
Jaime Alguersuari.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Did I say his name right?
What?
The DJ now? Yeah. Is it Jaime Alguersuari? Or do they call him Jamie Alguersuari?
There was a race car driver, F1.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He retired from racing to go
he's
be a DJ now. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, he was on Red Bull. Toro
Yeah.
Rosso. Yeah, he's actually the guy where you see all the memes when he hits the brakes and the tires just fly off. That was him.
That was him?
Yes.
See, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know he's a DJ.
For our listeners, you should follow Nick Rendo on Instagram, and he will personally DM you funny F1 memes. They're hilarious.
Not even memes, just like incredible stuff.
There's other stuff he'll send you as well.
Like a
Yeah.
Ferrari in Victory
Oh,
Lane.
you're talking about our group
Pretty
chat?
funny.
yeah.
Mitch Evans, who I haven't really seen anything come from him before, he finished fourth. That was actually a strong performance from him. There was some confusion over the minimum pit time, which is something that's been known in Formula E because they have to change cars midway because the batteries just aren't there
Big
yet.
enough, wide enough,
But
long
in a
enough.
year or two, they will be. So it's
That's the objective.
yeah. So they're getting there. It's come a long way. These cars do what they do. Just on electric power, it's amazing already. Plus the great racing action. There was some confusion as to how long that minimum pit time was. Now, as far as I knew, it was always a minute.
Apparently, it was changed like morning of the
Okay.
race. And there were some teams who said they didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
So that was the issue there. And
His one car went out early, and or they were like, "Wait, is he getting a penalty? What's going on?" It was.
Now-
Even the announcers were kind of like, "Wait a second, what just happened here?" Nick seems amazed by my washing machine at the moment. I guess I don't know. Oliver Turvey, it was his birthday.
he inherited the pole after the provisional pole sitter got disqualified
And he
for
was
being too
having
light.
a good run
He was driving away
until
until all of a sudden car died.
they were trying to get him to basically shut it off and turn it back on. To
Sounds like a Ferrari
recycle.
moment.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds like something we've been seeing a lot in NASCAR lately.
Zing. Yeah, did you drive for RCR?
Yeah.
Or Stuart Haas.
And,
Screw you guys.
How great of an announcer is Dario Franchitti, though?
That was great. Oddly enough, I'm trying to figure out exactly how the announcing works
There's
because
this one
You speak
guy
in the mic,
who sounds like Will
You sit
Buxton.
down.
He really
but
does.
now,
does.
Frank Keedy is one of the, I guess, the color commentator we'd say.
Yeah, that's on the world feed that we hear. They don't. There's not an American version of that.
So Bob Varsha just does the weird intro, like "Welcome back from commercial," and turns it, and then like they fade up.
Well, in
the-
fact,
Bob
this,
Barsha's the most American announcer I think I've ever seen.
This past weekend, I think it was different. In fact, it sounds like that. Like when you watch Formula One race, there's a world feed that's going on that most of Europe is watching.
The world, yeah.
But here in the States and a lot of other countries, they take the world feed video, and then the NBC production crew steps in, and then they call the race over that video feed, which they're relying on, usually from a studio, which I think in this case for NBC is in Stamford, Connecticut.
And
Yeah,
they could be sitting in someone's porch next to a washer and dryer and just
Yeah.
watching the race.
You
and
have,
calling
you
it.
have like Martin Brundle and those guys, the BBC guys, which basically do like England and probably most. BBC's pretty big, so probably most English-speaking European countries. And then you got like
Absolutely.
your French guys, your German guys, your Japanese guys.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. There's so many announcers.
Now,
in
Formula
It's
E
crazy.
follows the same format, except a lot more countries lean on the world feed because it's not really at a point where you need to invest in local coverage per se.
Right.
Now, Varsha was that leading guy at Fox for a while. However, I think Varsha is like a boots-on-the-ground guy with the series directly now. In fact, he's worked with the other pit reporter there, as well as Dario Franchitti on some Formula E production work.
So is he on site or is he all?
This past weekend, he was. 'Cause I remember seeing him on the Formula E Facebook page doing some stuff, and they actually had Brian Till, who normally does coverage for the IMSA series on Fox,
Which is fantastic.
as like the studio guy. So I don't know what's up with Varsha. In fact, I'm curious now that you mentioned it. I'm going to look into that. But Varsha should be calling
I'd be
Oklahoma
curious
racing
to see
somewhere.
if we could.
I'm waiting
meet
to
up
see
with
him on the Just for Men Touch of Grey commercials.
Oh God!
I don't think
Womp
it's a touch
womp.
of gray anymore.
Oh, it's a lot.
It's gone full fledged.
No
You
kidding.
haven't seen him, have
Not
you?
in a while. Not since he left F1.
I was
No,
going to see if we
it's-
could meet up with him.
Why are we talking
in
about
Brooklyn
announcers?
in July?
Those announcers make the show.
Actually, well, speaking of announcers, Danielle Trotta is moving to SiriusXM. She was supposed to be going off doing her own thing. This I also heard as breaking news for me, anyway, from Tim Kettle. What?
Wait, why are you shaking your head, Sam?
Nothing.
Tell the world.
What did I say? Oh, you don't like the. I'm going to turn that off for you.
John Lane, the photographer at Wall Stadium, is calling me right now, and I can't take it.
When opportunity calls.
I had a friend call me earlier while we were on break. I'm
You
gonna
were
call
calling your
later.
mother.
No, I called her because it's a long story.
Anyway, well, while you do whatever you're doing over there with Bob Varsha, are we done with Formula E? Or?
No, not quite. There was actually there was some interesting
How about
strategy
those teammates
changes.
who took? Well, no, someone got turned. The teammate launched over the other one.
Or,
Pretty wild
I'm not
stuff.
even getting into that. I'm getting into the safety cars. There were multiple safety cars, and you don't really
They
see.
used a BMW i8. It's awesome.
Yay!
Did you say yay or?
Sometimes you don't even see the safety car in those races.
I thought said they might have like a local yellow. They actually had multiple safety cars, and that. I mean, when you think fuel, battery power, that actually completely changed the strategy for who was coming in when, who was going to try to get one more lap out of it, or maybe get a clear pit lane, things like that. And that actually did play a big role in the race
Yeah, actually,
because they could save the battery power by just rolling around under a safety car.
Nick Heinfeld, Formula One driver, Fernando Alonso's teammate, never had any wins in Formula One, but I guess he went to I don't even know. But now he's in Formula E, and they said he hasn't won a race since 1999. He wasn't even in Formula One in 1999. How did he get to Formula One without winning a race? How did he get to GP2? That's an amazing statistic to
That's
have.
a lot of second place finishes.
Yeah, because obviously, he's still performing to, exceed at that level. But what is that now? 20 years. Crazy. Crazy stuff.
Can't even make a Kyle Larson joke because he won.
Oh, he's the best.
But I'll tell you what, they did pull an awkward moment at the end of the race. They had a multi-car wreck involving the two Mahindra cars,
Yeah.
where one literally climbed over the top of the other.
Was he looking down at the steering wheel?
I don't know what
Probably
happened.
was texting.
But there was there was debris all over the place. I mean, and again, you were slightly concerned
Kept
because
it
it was a
green.
pretty hard hit,
Captain Green.
and the race stayed green. I couldn't believe it.
They wanted it to
the
finish
FIA,
green, maybe.
yeah, it's the
I mean,
FIA.
the FIA is.
But they usually don't err on the side of
Great.
entertainment. They usually err on the side of being politically correct, and that's why I was taken back by it. Because the politically correct thing to do would have been to throw the yellow, and
Not hurt
the fan in me
feelings.
was like, "Oh my God, this sucks. The race is going to end terribly now," and it didn't. Because
was it out of the racing line? Because there were a couple bits of debris that they called.
I think it was all over the racing line.
Well, no, because when Turvey sat there for a couple laps.
Yeah,
but they're
it's-
like
they were
he's
very
out of the
very
line.
lenient.
Yeah,
but still, it's a car can go there.
it can just like Kyle Busch hitting that wall at Daytona 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or
And the whole
last year.
drama about
Yeah.
the end of the race was Lucas deGrassi was leading with some nifty pit strategy, being chased down by Jean-Eric Verne, and deGrassi was running out of energy to use. So the caution would have pretty much gave him the win. So while Verne was trying to pedal, and chase him down, it forced deGrassi to have to stay on it. And I think they both finished with 1% of usable energy left.
I'm picturing like the Flintstones with like the feet,
Yeah,
like emergency like dead battery switch where you kicked out the floorboards and you just start running with the car.
that's pretty much what ended up happening
I
for
mean,
the most part.
Honestly, it was a nail biting.
It's how Sebastian Vettel won the race last week. It's all on him.
10-second lead.
But nevertheless, the race
Who's
itself
counting?
was absolutely incredible. And I don't know exactly when they're racing again, but I'm sure it may be soon. So it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on because Formula E is just amazing.
Are they still doing that New York race? Are we going?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
we're
Yeah,
going.
that's why I wanted to see if we could meet up with Bob Varsha. That's why we got to get Brennan to,
He's one of the few that I'm not boys with just yet.
We got to pack the Just for Men.
Oh my God, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just mentioning Nick
I don't think Just for Men's bringing Bob Varsha's hair back.
or his career.
My God.
Wow,
just
Sam.
kidding.
Now,
you
it's
see-
totally
Do you see where Vern pushed Lopez off, like just ran him almost off the damn track, and then he started complaining over the radio that Lopez cut a corner?
Yeah,
like you just
yeah.
shoved him through that.
Oh,
corner.
yeah. And Dario was like, yeah, I remember that.
But for racing product, Formula E has been the best all year. I mean,
It's consistently
general
good.
product, and the cars, they have so much power. They
No,
spin
yeah,
on their
They
own.
sound amazing.
You know, well, I don't. That's the only thing about it I don't like. I feel like I'm in the dentist office when I hear those things. In
What
fact,
dentist do you go to? Hook me up.
no, my dentist is the man. He's my friend.
No kidding.
Is his name Vinny or Tony? Or-
No, it's Dr. Michael Comito. Close.
what a plug-in.
I love him. No, he's really guy was on vacation and he took my call because I had a toothache. Love him. Great guy. But where was I going with this? I have to rewind for a minute. When I watch a race at home, right? You know, I usually have like the surround sound on, and it's blaring. If you're 3 blocks away, you could hear the race from my house. So yeah, God help my hearing when I
You
get
make
older.
fun of me for watching it on mute.
No, I can't help it. Well, I got to balance this out. I had a friend come over, and he looks at me. What the hell is that noise? And it was Formula E blasting in the background. He's like, "It sounds like you got somebody drilling in the back of your house." I'm like, "No, it's just a race car." He's like, "Bro, turn that off." I said, "No, never. Get out." And he ended up leaving. Because
We're
I
no
wouldn't
longer
turn it off.
friends.
No, racing takes priority.
Bye, Eric.
Everything else,
Hope you
secondary.
find your dad.
Just saying. That's what happens. So Formula E was good, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know what?
I thought it was excellent.
You know-
I don't know what you guys are watching.
No,
but
it was
a
pretty
great
good.
race.
You know what's also really sexy looking is the 2018 IndyCar concepts.
They're amazing. And there's a couple of renders out there with Graham Rahall's livery and Simon Pagino's
It's nice that
livery
they're
on it.
trying to get in the fans' opinions on it.
Well, so
before
far
they make
it
the
seems
final.
it seems like that's going to be the final because everybody loves it. I haven't heard
That's awesome.
one bad thing about them just yet. Josh, I don't know if you've seen them yet.
I haven't, but I want to say that getting the fans' input is really cool.
Yeah.
And in Formula E, don't forget they have that fan boost option where the fans vote on their favorite drivers, and the top 3, I think, is it top 3 or top 4 of the fans' favorites get an extra power boost in the second.
There's a way to
Is
Is
rig.
that why
afterwards.
Danica left IndyCar?
That's how you rig a race.
Probably. That may have something to do with it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
look
you're-
at that.
Steak
But
and shake.
I'd shake that
is a-
steak.
I don't know if you guys could see that or not.
We'll post it on our Facebook.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could just
No,
said
That's,
that.
that's a lot
Definitely.
easier.
I wonder where they copied that lower rear ring from. It's awesome. It's like dragged back off the car.
It looks like the rear
I
bumper.
wish I had an electroshock button for you.
It looks like the rear bumper guards are going to be gone
Sure.
yes,
for the most part,
yeah.
which was good because on some of the road and street courses we would see them hanging.
Wow, they got rid of the
Yeah, that's what-
wow.
And you know what's really nice is that they
didn't.
didn't make them wider or
Can that
longer
happen
or
again?
lower. They kept them.
But I do think they will be faster, which poses a question which we've talked about in Formula One, and I'm seriously concerned about in IndyCar. Granted, we have not seen the track record in IndyCar broken at Indianapolis since
track
1997,
record.
so that's 20 years now, if I've done my math correctly. Carry the one. Yeah, 20 years. So
We're getting old, Nick.
237 was the mark set by Arie Luyendyk in 97. Do you think we're beyond that point in ever seeing an IndyCar go that fast again? And is
After
it?
seeing that concept,
But do we really want them to go that fast?
No, no, especially not on the oval tracks.
That's the thing, because the whole point is you don't want to achieve lift. And I
Yep.
feel like that once you're at that speed, it's hard not
I'm
to
pretty
achieve
sure
lift.
there's lift at 225, whatever they're at now. too.
There's lift
You
in
know?
some cases at 160.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2006, Rogelio Lopez was in a K&N West race at California, and he's driving a stock car, and that thing got airborne and blew over just because he had another car pushing it, and it was kind of bizarre. But you don't have to be going that fast to lift off the ground, and with these cars being as light as they are and as fast they are, it's,
I don't know about you guys. I like my race cars to stay on the racetrack.
yeah,
So,
typically.
Let's slow them down a little bit. I'm not saying add more restrictor plates, but the speed factor. I get it. Your car looks fast. That's all you really need.
Well, we'll have to see how it all unfolds.
Okay.
Once these cars actually do hit the racetrack in a year's time, if that is in fact how they will stay. Now, in Supercross this past weekend, Eli Tomac again went out and outdid Ryan Dungey, who got held up badly by Chad Reed during the race. In fact, Dungey was a little bit upset. He ended up finishing second, but the gap has now closed to, I believe, 4. And that is going to be something to watch as the Supercross season continues to wind down.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was working a show pretty much all last week and over the weekend, so I didn't get to watch the racing live, which would really upset you.
I would have had a heart attack.
I don't have a DVR. It's not worth it to me. But what I did find is now that we have a Fire Stick for the TV, I found this app or program that allows me to. It's called Motor Replays. Formula One, Formula E, NASCAR, Supercross, NHRA, MotoGP, GP2. Dude, there's lists. Then there's other just 24/7 like Speed Channel used to always have some type of racing on, minus the incredibly boring Barrett Jackson auctions.
Sam,
I will mute you.
My father's a big fan of it.
Now, if you follow Sam, we'll send you Mickham auction pictures that are pretty sweet.
I can't stand watching that stuff. I want to see the cars do something. Anyway, they have there's motorsport.tv. Or whatever, that it's all through the Fire Stick.
I didn't know that.
My cable provider does not offer Fox Sports 2, so there's stuff that I can get it through the Fire Stick.
That's like the ARCA race from Nashville this weekend is going to be on MAV TV. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah,
I do.
So that said, I was able to watch the race after the fact. That's why I said no spoilers, and I was able to watch it later in the day. Same for Formula E. The Formula One race that we all tried. Sam stayed up and watched.
He didn't.
I was sick that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'll
I'm
redeem
sick of your
myself.
excuses.
I shall redeem myself.
But that's the thing. I was able to I can watch that stuff, like the following day. It is awesome. So, go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, to go from your Fire Stick to.
That was racing related.
No, I got you. No. From Todd Gilliland, he dominated and won the double 100 lap features at Irvingdale this past weekend.
Ooh.
I was watching it on MSNBC. They had a film of it, and him and his teammate, I forget his teammate's name, but put on a great show. I love the NASCAR K&N series.
K&N?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next race is we're already in April already.
Yeah, where did time go?
The last 6 months of my life have been nothing but a blur. In fact, I may never remember it from this. It's going to be tough.
We had we had NHRA at Las Vegas this past weekend, didn't we?
Yes.
That's right.
John Force having a great run. Went to the semis again.
How did the girls do?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Josh, how did the girls do?
No, because they've been up. It seems like the girls have been on a hot streak.
Leah Pridgett is really, really good. But you had an all Don Schumacher final round. Luckily,
all Don Schumacher. That's Don Schumacher in both lanes.
Yes, and luckily you had Antron Brown take out Tony Schumacher.
He did.
Awesome to see that.
He won his 300th.
Yes, but not. No, yeah, you're right.
For
Antron
DSR.
Brown did win him his 300th win.
I think he was unfazed by that.
But who was it? Tommy Johnson Jr. I think his name is for
Yes.
Funny Car. Funny
Okay.
Car.
Look
yeah.
at you.
Yeah, no, yeah, dude, come on, man. I'm NHRA. I got a license and everything, man.
My red though.
I'm an
Dude's on
NHRA
fire.
licensed driver.
Tanner Gray won the Pro Stock division.
Yep.
Speaking about sponsor placement, all these guys look really happy, and they have Mellow Yellow logos in the bottom of their trophies, and they have a Mellow Yellow in their hand.
Yes, because they hold
It's
it up so high.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Marketing is
mellow
up.
yellow. That's right, folks.
Yeah. No,
And
it's
then,
I'm still a big Clay Milliken fan. Where did he go? Probably went out in the second.
Oh,
round.
you lost me, bro. I'm not the producer of the show.
Well, Clay Milliken, he's not a big name, but he's an awesome guy, and I actually kind of know him a little bit. And he's really, really cool guy. Awesome guy.
Something else that I want to bring up when I talked about the ARCA race, Richard Petty's grandson, Thad Moffitt, set to make his debut in the ARCA race in Nashville this weekend.
Isn't there another Moffitt?
Brett.
There's
Yes.
Brett, yeah.
Related?
You know what it is? I think one of the Moffitts married into the Petty family somehow.
Smart
and then,
dude.
Yeah, I mean, can't really blame him.
Dude, that's what I'm.
Couldn't take the last name, though?
So,
I'm not the Petty fan.
If any of the Petties want some nice New Jersey ass, call Nick Rendo up.
What?
Dude, we got to get you in a race car.
Oh my God.
We got to get Nick Rendo in a race car. This guy can seriously be a real wheelman.
Jaime Alguersuari is, in fact, a DJ, by the way.
That's sick. That's really cool. Yeah, you want to go see him?
If
Dude?
I could spell that, I'm going to look it up on iTunes.
You want to go see him?
Speaking of this weekend, we started rookie practice at Wall Stadium this weekend.
We do, and I can't wait.
Well, rookie practice was this past weekend,
Can't.
and now we have first practice this weekend.
Exactly. I missed the rookie practice, but I would definitely be there for this practice coming up this weekend.
Blake Barney, I know you're listening. Daniel Suarez is a decent race car driver. I wore my Suarez. I wore my Carl Edwards hat, and Blake
I have one
Barney.
too.
hated me.
Do you remember what happened with that Carl Edwards hat?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. That's pretty much what Blake wanted to happen. In his car, yelling at me, saying Daniel Suarez stinks. And I'm like, listen, Blake, you stink. So I know he listens to the show.
I actually have a Daniel Suarez T-shirt that I ordered with this
Well,
Eric Jones
Don't
shirt.
wear it around Blake
So-
Barney.
no, I'm going to.
You might
Now I'm
get,
going to do
you
it on
might get
purpose.
pooped on.
I'm going to do it on.
You're filling up the Toyota thing. I kind of like that.
So
I kind of like the whole Toyota thing going on.
I got a rep. I got a rep with the new branding. I
That's
just love
true.
the 77 on the back.
Did you guys hear any? Was there any?
They shouldn't be in NASCAR. It's not American.
God.
Throwback.
Come from a Ferrari fan.
Virginia International Raceway.
I
Something about a shooting.
It was
or,
it was
I think
by it was near VIR. It wasn't actually at VIR.
Do you have any more? I guess I didn't find anything else or didn't hear anything
God,
else.
the FBI is gonna love my search engine after tonight.
Well, they are watching it. So.
That's funny. That's very funny.
I can't find the shooting thing, and I'm not gonna go look any
Because it
further.
probably turned out to be nothing.
No.
If it was something major,
Well,
it would have
they
made
were talking
mainstream
about some
headlines.
people, running, injured, blah blah. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was just a crazy.
It was either a swatting or it was nothing major or
or
something
a Dropkick
exaggerated.
Murphys concert.
Oh my goodness, amazing!
turned out
Best
to be
time
all
ever.
Backfires.
I love it. I'm listening to them the whole way home. Also, there were a couple of things that happened this past weekend which were not that good news. It looks like Jamison Minor, who's an up-and-coming flat-track motorcycle racer, which if you've never seen flat-track motorcycle racing, it's actually pretty neat. It's pretty much like any other form of dirt track racing, just on two wheels.
Very dangerous, though.
However, they're packed up pretty tightly. The 21-year-old Minor lost his life in an accident at the Charlotte Dirt Track in an event. Also, the NASCAR world lost Sam Ard this past weekend, who, before Mark Martin and Kyle Busch, was the most successful Xfinity Series driver ever.
His car is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
And well-deserved. And
00.
And, of course, on a local level, we just want to send our thoughts and prayers to our buddy Chrissy Farry, along with Allison Farry and John Russell, on the loss of Chrissy's daughter, Jenna. We just want you guys to know we love you and we're thinking about you. And from there, we turn our attention to Wall this coming week. And, Josh, we had another announcement that we want to make about our RC2U.
RC2U, Dan Thomas, great guy. He's a listener of the show. We chat back and forth here and there. He teases me for when I don't have a light switch cover on the freshly painted wall, things like that.
I like Dan.
Because he makes fun of me, right?
It's pretty easy to, Josh.
Oh man.
All right, I'll stop. Yes.
No, anyway, his business. It's portable RC racing. It's really cool. It's not on a small scale either. I mean, you see our table here. This is like a 6-foot, folding table essentially. He's got the equivalent of like a couple of these, and he's got this track. He can do multiple layouts. He can do a road course, an oval, a triangle like Pocono, all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
And he has a computer
Probably
scoring
sounds like
system.
a Formula E race in there.
All right, they're not quite that loud, the cars, but and he's also expanded
They're
into
louder.
some
I'll stop.
some slot cars and things like that, so we can get so
Some
you
people
have the
really
younger
get
kids.
into slot cars. There was a slot car place in Brooklyn called Buzzaramas when I was a kid, and there was
What
this
the
guy there.
freak?
Dude, it's Italian, man. Don't roll with it. But and
Don't ruin it.
this guy, he had like a solution to essentially make the tires more grippy and a little bit softer, turn them from like a medium into like a super soft.
They're
nuts.
I used to play laser tag at this place in like South Toms River,
Really?
and upstairs they had a couple slot car tracks, and they had a drag strip.
No way.
For it. Yeah, and you could see, man, they melted that rubber on there. So anyway,
yeah,
but he
yeah.
was getting into the slot cars as well. So especially for the younger kids, where they're having a little trouble with steering, something like that. So I mean, he can cater to all ages. It's a lot of fun. He actually is going to be returning to the Manahawk and Touch and Truck event. I saw him there last year. There was a sportsman car on display. I can't remember whose it was. 24 maybe sportsman last year,
Lane?
Eric
Eric
Lane,
Lane.
maybe
our
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Friend.
Buddy.
I can't. No, I think that's what it was. 2024 or something like that. He was set up pretty much right behind the sportsman. He had a line of people waiting the whole day. I mean, it was great. I mean, I don't know if he got to go to the bathroom. He was so busy. He got a computerized scoring system. I mean, it's really cool. Also, the Easter egg hunt at the Goddard School this Saturday coming up. I mean, it's a good business. He's a great guy, great to work with. He's going to be at Bridgeport, I believe, coming up as well. I don't know how he finds time for himself anymore. So just, I'm glad it's going well, and you guys really should check it out. If you have any birthday parties, anything like that coming up, the kids, all ages love it. So definitely give them a call.
It's awesome.
Shout out to all our Bridgeport listeners. I know we have a lot of them. And then we love them.
After last week, I
Yeah.
have said a
Well,
lot
I'm
of
just
them.
glad that they paid
All of
some
our
close-
friends on
close
the South
attention.
Jersey Dirt Board, we want to thank them for their love and support, and then we'll continue to grow. And we hope that they go along for the ride with us.
We should have them on the show.
Anybody's more
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm
to
down.
come
We
here.
got an extra headset, folks. I'll sit in the back seat. You come sit up here.
Yeah.
Sam belongs
Give us a
in
call.
the back seat.
Back seat, windows up.
A lot of racing this weekend. Formula One in China, IndyCar in Long Beach, NASCAR, Xfinity, and
Right.
Cup Series on the newly repaved Texas Motor Speedway. MotoGP is back with a race in Argentina. IMSA is in
Gotta
Long
watch
Beach as
that.
well.
IMSA.
Oh, Long Beach is set up, huh?
Yeah, they had Formula Drift there last week.
Okay.
They were just at Spa, weren't they? In Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So-
also have Supercross in Seattle. Just so much going on this coming weekend.
Now, when is Indy heading down to Long Beach?
This weekend.
This weekend.
This
It's
weekend.
a companion event.
With IMSA.
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow. I don't know what to watch. Thank God for that replays.
Go to
thing.
motorsport.com. They have a whole schedule there. Not times, but just what's going on.
And if you can't listen to it all this weekend, folks, tune into the RPM podcast next week. We'll fill you all in. The four of us will fill your ears with race car porn.
I'm going to be pumped up next week.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God.
Because-
second win of the season.
Well-
We have to announce that. Very
Because
excited.
24 hours after we do this show, I'm going to be on a plane going to
Yeah.
see my nephew.
And we have the icebreaker this weekend.
that too.
It's going to be a great weekend.
We might even go to that. I'm thinking about
And
it.
they have for our Bridgeport listeners, they have the sprints plus the big blocks and the Crate Sportsman rookie event starting at 5 p.m. Adults $25, kids 10 to 15, 10, and under 9 for free.
I believe
Sprint-
New Egypt will be in action as well because their opening night
Well, they got rained
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's April 9th. Yeah, we're
Can-
that week.
Can you squint harder on that, Sam?
Call me Joe Logano, folks.
You can't zoom. Anyway, gentlemen, what have we learned today?
I learned that there's a chance that we might see Gina get wet this weekend. But Sebastian Vettel's car.
That was mine. I said Nick is hoping Gina gets
Especially,
wet.
Oh
listen,
my God.
I'm usually the PG-13 guy.
he doesn't
The fact that
expect, he
came from
does.
me should mean how much I love you guys. Just saying.
Well-
And the fact that I really didn't learn a lot tonight. So,
All right, go ahead, Nick.
You go, because you got to say the Martinsville thing.
Oh, I learned that Martinsville has bleachers on the backstretch.
Cool,
and that
bro.
Nick wants to get Gina wet this weekend.
What the? I learned that Formula E sucks.
Is there because Gina's not involved?
Yeah, why does it suck? Because there's passing?
Because they're shorter and they're slimmer.
Sucks.
They're not as thick.
Why does it?
They touch you like I hate it.
I don't like when they touch.
They're an open wheel.
Don't be mad because Seb touches Gina, okay?
Oh my God! It's time to end.
again,
Stop whining.
Google Sebastian Vettel's race car names, and you'll
Yes.
get it. You'll get it. This is not as bad as it sounds. That's why it's funny. You'll get it. Just Google Sebastian
Hi, Frank.
Vettel.
Hi, Frank.
Or just listen to last week's episode, please.
Anyway, we have Tim coming on next week on the show, hopefully. So Tim,
Oh yeah, now's a good time
Tim should
to
I
add
don't
some
think
educated
anymore.
point
Yeah.
to it.
If he listens to this thing, there ain't no way he's showing
No.
up.
Tim wants to see Gina wet too. Anyway, that's it, guys.
Hold on. What the hell does that mean?
I don't know, Eric. I think we're done. Did you learn anything? By
Everything's
chance?
great.
Perfect. On behalf of Josh
On that
Matthews,
bombshell, it's time to end.
Seb Ballard Jr., Nick Rendell.
Hi, guys.
I'm Eric Brennan. Just forget that. We'll see you next week.
Go to
Yeah, okay.
Bridgeport, Wall, New Egypt.
Icebreaker, man.